A few years ago, when I was at Holy Cross Parish in Dover, Delaware, I was visited by Father Bing Arellano and by Brother Jojo Aviola to talk about the alliance with the two heart. What they presented to me wasn't new or different, because growing up in Christ Our King Parish in Wilmington, we had had great devotion to the Sacred Heart, and we had all-night adoration of the Blessed Sacrament on First Friday. So what they were presenting was not new. And so we decided to go with the program. We began with the seminar. We invited the people in the parish to come, those who would be interested in perhaps implementing the program in the parish. And after that meeting, the next month, we began the First Friday, First Saturday devotions. It was very successful. A little while later, we began the house-to-house evangelization. And because of the response of the parish to that, then we began to commit ourselves to perpetual adoration, and now we have adoration of the Blessed Sacrament 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. It's had a great effect on the parish because it reestablishes in the minds of all the parishioners the centrality of the Eucharist in Catholic life. Our participation in Mass has increased, our collections have increased, if that counts. But the important thing about it is it refocuses the parish on that which is central to its life, and that is the presence of Jesus Eucharistically in the sacrament.
I started the RCIA program in our church the very same month that the Alliance of the Two Hearts came, so I was especially blessed right from the very start. Even though I'd only gone to one RCIA program, I started going to the Alliance, and I've faithfully been at all those First Friday, First Saturdays ever since. And I do practice the elements of the Communion of Reparation, and that ever since I've become a Catholic, I've never gone longer than just a month going to reconciliation, and usually it's more frequent than that. And obviously I'm at daily Mass. And I was praying the Rosary a couple years before I became Catholic, and I always think the Blessed Mother always brings people into the church if you start praying the Rosary beforehand. And of course then the Holy Hours. Holy Hours are just my very special, intimate time with the Lord. And those hours make it more special receiving Eucharist every day, because I know that even though, as I said, I can't understand that, I can't understand that generosity on His part to reveal Himself to me in such an intimate way. For several months after I became Catholic and began receiving the Eucharist, I cried every time I received the Eucharist. And even now I cry sometimes, and sometimes during my holy hours I sit and cry the entire hour. And but it's okay because it's so special that words can't say anything. And it's so wonderful to be so understood and so loved. Because of this whole process of becoming Catholic, I am a totally different person. Because of God's grace of helping me believe and giving me this faith, I truly am a new creature in Christ. And wonderful healing has occurred both in my life in all kinds of ways, and also in the lives of my family. I have a daughter who is now beginning an RCIA program. I raised my children as Presbyterians, and we were very active and faithful to the church in raising them, but both daughters now go to Mass every week, and they both pray the Rosary and family members have come around. It's also given me a wonderful opportunity to tell people about that. And for the non-Catholics that I work with at work, they say, "What is it you do every Tuesday? You say you have to leave work immediately to go to chapel. Tell me about that." And so it gives me a wonderful opportunity to be able to do that. Words are hard to describe exactly how wonderful it is.
After the consecration of our family and our home to the Two Hearts of Jesus and Mary, I had a spiritual renewal. All of a sudden, I was yearning for anything spiritual. I started realizing that maybe I was spending too much time in my profession and not enough for spiritual matters and for my family. And so on the same year, I started rearranging my schedule. I started cutting back on my patient load. so that I could make time and go to Mass first things in the morning before I go to the hospital or to my office.
It seems very hard for me at first to do and receive the Holy Communion every day because I do not have time to go to Mass every day. That was my problem, and that was the thing that I say to myself and to others, that, oh, I won't be able to make it. I have no time, I'm always busy. But now, for 7 years, we have added up holiness in our family, which is prayer, which is adding up sacraments in our life. And it doesn't seem to bother us now. In fact, we kind of yearn, and we kind of, we know when we're missing something, when we forget to do things, to do our prayers.
I decided that no matter what, I would say my prayer, whether I feel good or bad. I also decided that unless there is an emergency in my medical field or family emergency, that I will go to Mass no matter what, whether it rains, whether it snows. And on a personal note, I'd like to go to heaven. And if somebody practices the elements of the Communion of Reparation faithfully, I can't see why he won't go to heaven.
So anybody, a person who practices the Communion of Reparation as his way of life, not just on First Friday and First Saturday, but every day of his life, could you imagine the peace, the tranquility that he brings around, not only to himself, but to his family? So why Communion of Reparation? The Fatima Solution is what the Pope says, the solution of this global crisis that threatens the Catholic Church. Because it converts you from the heart. And the heart in symbolic theology on Judeo-Christian anthropology means the whole personality. So when you're converted in the heart, the whole personality is converted. When you're just converted in the mind, it's not the center of your whole personality. Well, it's just in the mind, you tend to forget it. But not when we are converted in the heart. Now, the next question is, how do we do it in the diocese? In the parish? How important it is that the bishop believes into this Communion of Reparation as solution to this conspiracy that threatens the family life and eventually the Catholic Church. I know, for instance, many bishops who do this. They will call all their priests, tell them about the Communion of Reparation, and then all the priests will enthrone the houses of all their parishioners, without exception. And this is enthroning the hearts of Jesus and Mary. And it's not just an enthronement, but it's telling them how to live the Communion of Reparation as a family. And could you imagine the whole family now converted? Put all these families together, you have a parish. Put all these parishes together, you have a diocese. Put all the dioceses together, you have the metropolitan. Put all the metropolitans together, you have the whole universal Roman Catholic Church. If from the Pope down to the last parish priest, down to the last Christians, they will practice the Communion of Reparation, then there will be no more war. There will be peace. When we are at peace within us, we don't put up arms. We'll lay down the arms and we put our hands together and kneel down and worship the Lord. When we worship the Lord, there is really peace. No wonder the solution to the conspiracy against family life is the Communion of Reparation.